Welcome to the Data Coffee Break podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Christian.
If you are passionate about data like us, take a seat, relax, and join us to our coffee break where we discuss all things data.
And remember, there are no filters, no PR.
It's just a real life experience. So let's begin. But yeah, so if the sound is a bit weird, it's normal. It's not weird, it's a good sound.
Good sound, yeah.
We finally meeting together again.
I know, we're in person, finally.
So we have like a guest we had in the past. Ivan, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. Very happy to be with both of you again. It's been a while since we've hanged out.
I know. Your episode was the most popular episode in terms of downloads in the first week of release.
Yeah. I mean, the trends, obviously, everyone wants to know about that. Okay, some people reach out to me on LinkedIn, like about some trends, like discussing. We had
really?
I forgot which topic was it. We spoke about data contracts, if I remember.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the topic we discussed.
You know, it was January, and then in February, Gen AI happened.
Oh,
you know?
Did we included it?
No.
No, it was not included.
I don't think so, right? No one.
Actually,
No.
Boom.
Let me check, actually. I'm curious.
And it was very early days. I think we recorded it just a few weeks after sort of ChatGPT 3 went public. And
again,
losing it.
Yeah, you said ChatGPT instead of ChatGPT.
Oh, yes,
I remember you did that.
I did that quite a lot. I also did something that I then had to retrace back because I spoke about how sort of AI, generative AI and natural language processing in other languages because I did not expect ChatGPT to be so good at doing it in other languages. So I had to sort of take back what I said because a few days later, I was testing it out myself. And yes, I'll swallow my head. It is a lot better than what I've seen in the past.
So I'm just looking at the list. We did data mesh and data fabric, real-time analytics, data as a service, semantic layer and metric layer, NLP, kind of, data contracts, tiny ML and small data observability, and augmented analytics. We missed out one big trend.
But that's the thing. I mean, that it goes to show that talking about trends, it's always a gamble. Like you don't really know. Nobody really knows what's coming out. You might assume based on what you've seen in the past, but it's like the turkey metaphor, which I always love, which is not from me, it's from Nassim Taleb. He always says that the day the turkey has the most trust that they are not going to die is the day they die. Because if you think about it, let's say a turkey gets bought in January, and every day the farmer feeds the turkey. So every day, as the days progress, the turkey trusts more and more in the farmer because every day it's not dead. More data to show, the farmer is good to me, gives me more food, I'm not dead. Next day, more food, I'm not dead. So the trust goes up. And the day before Thanksgiving, the turkey gets killed. And he has no idea that's coming because all the data pointed that the farmer was just going to give it more food.
Wow, that's interesting.
Oh my God, I never thought about it like that.
No, it's from this book called Anti-Fragile from Nassim Taleb, which I really, really like. Which is all about systems that gain from disorder.
Right.
So if you think about it, all the systems in the world are either fragile, whenever there's chaos or disorder, they become weaker. There are systems that are neutral or like impervious to chaos, and there's systems that the more chaos that exists, actually the stronger they become, up to a point, obviously, if they don't get to the point of break. And it talks a lot about sort of how organic systems tend to be a lot like that. Like, for example, if you want your muscles to be stronger, you have to give them chaos. You have to force them to break so they grow up stronger. So they gain from a little bit of chaos. So yeah, this is an example that I always give for these kind of things. So it's like data can only take you so far. If you just believe the trend as it goes, it might actually show you confidence in the opposite outcomes and what's going to happen.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So actually, today's episode, we try to do something different.
We had it in drawers for quite a while, but...
Yeah, because wanted to talk about demos. Part of the...
What is a demo?
Exactly, like a demonstration. We're going to start from there. Let me just bring my chatbot and ask questions. But that's a good point to start, right?
Yeah.
So And to be honest, we wanted you, Ivan, on this episode because you have quite a lot of experiences when it comes to technical demonstrations, right? Because we're talking about demos, but we're talking about in the context of showing a technical product, right? So do a technical presentation. So because a demo, as you mentioned, could be, I don't know, like even in an expo show of a car, you show people are demoing cars. But when it comes to technical demos, which is like presenting a tool, a product, a presentation, or like the outcome of a project.
Yeah.
There's so much nuances on it.
I guess like what we encountered as issues, what we encountered as good experiences, and what could be the tips we give associated to those.
I could literally talk about this topic for hours.
Great.
Yeah.
For those of you that know me, know that I am a nerd in general. I am a nerd about technology. But I'm a nerd and a geek about pre-sales. And demo is the biggest tool in the toolkit of a pre-sales. Not the only thing that pre-sales do, though.
I was going to say, let's keep it very clear, right?
We do a lot more things.
And just demoing, right? Because you want to become the demo geek or the demo
Demo monkey.
Demo monkey, yeah, that's the one.
It's only like 10-15% of the
I would
job
say
of
so,
pre-sales. Yeah, maybe
but I would
50.
say also that a lot of people don't understand the value of a good demo. I've been lucky enough to do pre-sales for technologies that tend to be part of their value proposition is to be easy to use, which also means that a lot of people think that because it's easy to use, anyone can demo them. And that's actually one of the fascinating things is that actually a good demo involves a lot of sort of technical skill to understand the actual pain points, to navigate the story, to make it resonate. Because the end point of a demo really is that the audience sees themselves in a better position than they currently are by using whatever tool, software, platform we're talking about. And making that story land is not easy. So it does end up being quite a powerful tool that pre-sales have, and it's a big part of what we do because of how powerful it is, but it's not all that we do, obviously.
So that clearly leap back to our previous discussion, which is storytelling.
Yes.
Because you touch on story, user being able to see itself, like using the product. In my point of view, you need to know the product very well first, and after you're able to put a storytelling on it, on the top of it.
I really like this. I don't know if it's a phrase or a sentence from John Ivey, I think is his name. He used to work with Steve Jobs as the head of designer doing the iPhones and the iPod. And he had this demo. Well, he was demoing, but he says something really important, which is technology is at its top, at its maximum, when it's not there. When it's just invisible.
Yeah.
I say like when you use the washing machine, when you use
you're
thinking of technology, and he was presenting the iPhone in that way, right? And I think like a good demo starts by saying like the last thing I'm talking about here is about the product. I'm trying to solve a problem, or I'm trying to show you how I use the product to achieve a goal. Right? I mean, of course, and then you need to get like that mix between you show how you differentiate versus doing the goal, and that's the story.
So one thing that came to my mind straight away when we just started to speak about demo was something I learned very quickly in my first pre-sales job was tell, show, tell, which is like the basic building block to make sure you're not losing. And in my point of view is like to not use your audience and make sure your audience like understand what you're going to do and what you did. Yeah. So tell what you're going to do, show what you're doing, and tell again what you just did.
Yes.
It goes a little bit back to what you were saying before that you need to be quite good at whatever product you're showing, which means that your brain tends to sort of assume that everyone is. So you go really fast. And one of the things, and this is sort of I probably repeat this once a week, that a demo is the opposite of a training. You're not teaching them how to do them. You're letting them imagine themselves in. So you want to, I probably, most of my demo, I'm not even touching my mouse. I'm Southern European, so I talk a lot with my hands. So I'll do something, I'll start talking and then use my hands, explain what I've done, and then go back in and touch my mouse. And that's the best thing you can do.
That's a proof you really enjoy doing your job and you're excited about the product.
It's a good excuse to just stop. Take your hand off the mouse, pause, explain what you've just done, why it matters. Not saying, oh, this is a feature A or a feature B, but I like calling out people's names. Like in a demo, I usually have personas, and I'm like, oh, I just asked John to do this. And I don't have to do anything else. And then it becomes more of a story and less of a feature flow. You're going through the actual pains of the audience, showing the pain you're going to solve, solving the pain in the screen with 2-3 clicks or whatever, and then talking about, look how easy it was to solve that pain.
How do you go about preparing for a demo? Let's think about right now the happy past 3 days. What is that you do to prepare?
Well, for me, sort of the three main things of preparing for a demo are the 3 Ds: discovery, discovery, discovery.
Right.
After the 3Ds, there is a 3W. What? No,
Yes.
why? Sorry.
Yeah,
why?
I think that's one of the things that, again, people think it's very easy to demo, but it actually took me, I feel, many years to really understand that the less you show in the demo, the better. But because it lands, it's more aggressive in its land, but you need to show the right thing at the right time. And you can only do that. Ideally, you've been on a discovery call with the audience or someone close to the audience, so you understand really well the pain point. And these are things that, again, doing good discoveries, it's not as easy as it might sound. You need to really understand through their body language, through the little comments that they do, what is really annoying them. Why are we really talking about this product right now? And the more information you get, then the more you can adjust your demo to sort of really speak to them. But yeah, having that discovery done means that your half of the battle is won, because you can create something that really resonates with the audience, making sure that the first thing that they see in the demo, which is the thing they'll remember the most, is the answer to their problem.
And that's so true, because I did end up a few times on the other side of the screen, in this case, because it was virtually, as a person receiving a demo. And I was like, yeah, but that's not the problem I have. Literally in my mind. Yeah. So for me, it was like a huge miss. Like the ball was like rolling on the floor on the side, literally. To your point, discovery. And it can be done like with the same... Actually, that's a good question for you too. Because we were speaking offline just before that, like about the personas we're going to speak to. For you, discovery has to be done with the person you're going to demo, or the discovery can be done to members of the team from the person you interrogated first.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's what you mean. So whether the discovery needs to happen all the time with the person, let's say the potential buyer, or it's just enough to get some notes from the sales person or the team that is part of the sales, right? I think in real life, you have like a mix. The best case scenario is what you mentioned there, Ivan, which is ideally it should be with the potential buyer, especially in enterprise sales.
Ideally, yeah, but yeah, it's real life. That doesn't really happen. And again, this is something that comes with experience and product knowledge and demo knowledge. If I'm only getting the notes from the AE for a demo, and it's not a C-level demo, it's a reasonable audience, I would do my own discovery even before on the same call that I do the demo. This takes a lot of confidence to be able to do that, but I do that quite a lot, because after a while, you know the software really well, you know the platform really well, you know how to abstract the conversation sometimes, and if you do a little bit of discovery at the beginning, in an ideal world, what you'll be showing them after might be exactly what they want in their industry, best use case. But if I do a little bit of discovery at the beginning, I might actually discover that their pain point is a little bit different, and then I'll always have a way to abstract and show them a demo. That it's not the perfect language, it not might be the perfect use case, but that approaches their pain point the most. Obviously, then there's the case of a lot of sort of C-level demos in which I will never speak to the audience before. The AE will not speak to the audience before. Yeah. Usually we'll speak with other people in their team. And in that sense, we won't have that capacity to speak to them, but the more information we get. I did a demo the other day for a C-level audience where I did 3 discovery calls with 3 different teams that worked under them. Just so I could get all of the information that I need, so that when I actually got to showcase that to the executive team, I had everything but I never spoke with them until the day of the demo. But yeah, do as much discovery as you can. And again, doing discovery is something that takes a lot of practice. But if you do it, the better.
That's an amazing, great practice, which I think sometimes we take it for granted. I would do prep calls with part of the audience that is going to be on the demo on the day, especially for C-level.
Yeah.
Right? For a C-level, for example, a CDO, a CTO, CEO, they don't have the time to go to tell you the discovery. Fair enough, you do the discovery with the team, but then I will go even like a few days before, is this going to resonate with the audience? Like as a check with the actual customer side. I think that's a really good one that you actually have there.
They will feel that you're kind of part of the team at this point. If you're hitting the right pain points. So like, how did this person figure it out?
Also, they feel invested in the process. I always say that half of the battle of pre-sales is fighting for your champions to get promoted. So the more you involve them in the process, the more they get committed to your technology, and the more. One of the things I love, like if I'm preparing for an executive presentation, I will call it out in the beginning. All these people helped me to prepare that. I did a discovery call with them. I want to pump my champions up because I want them. I want this to be successful. They help me. I want them to be invested in the success of this as well, and hopefully make their careers out of whatever tool I'm selling. So there's all these things that go into a demo that's not just about showing the platform, but also lots of sort of setting up the vibes in the call as well.
So we talk about discovery and prep calls. What other good practice or best practice do you guys think is important?
Okay, right now I'm thinking about like, what is your plan B? Literally, when something goes wrong, like literally, I mean, the three of us selling software, so I don't know, things can go wrong literally, such as the servers goes down, or internet connection is going down, or
the person that was supposed to bring the SD card to do this recording didn't bring it.
Yeah, so plan B for today, where we record on the computer. So this sound is like a 360 instead of being... so we had a plan B. We had a computer here.
I mean, there is a scale on how much you can have a plan B. Right now, we're talking about either virtual demos, like especially during COVID, after COVID, to maybe in a meeting room in person.
Yeah.
It's good to have that plan B, right? Like what is going to... Like you click there and something goes wrong, right? Or the website doesn't load or something like that.
The classic one, actually, when you go to a meeting room with a client in our day and age, is to be able to hotspot from your phone.
Yeah,
because so many times you go there. One, you cannot connect to the screen, so you need to have like your own adapters.
Yeah.
Like two, you can't connect to their Wi-Fi. It happens so many times.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's right. But I would say the number one thing is to laugh it off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work all the time. There are people that don't enjoy that. But especially when I was in the beginning of my career in pre-sales, I would get really flustered and really frustrated when things are not working. And all that passes over to the other side. Yeah. So now... something doesn't work or the Wi-Fi is slow or something, just laugh about it. Oh, the demo gods are not on my side today. Well, I mean, we're all human, and the people on the other side understand that technology fails. The more frustrated you get, the more frustrated they get.
Yeah.
So if you laugh about it whilst you're sorting out your plan B, then they'll laugh about it as well. You'll actually become more human on their eyes.
Yeah,
you need to make the connection.
Yeah.
Do you have some like? All right, let me just be straight on the question, which is actually very curious. Which one is a demo that you remember didn't go well?
Oh,
not necessarily is your worst, right? But the one that you actually remember.
Trying to think, but yes, usually the demos that I've had that went well, I think I could put them all in the same bucket. That didn't go well. I could put them all in the same bucket of poor discovery. Right. And I'm not saying it's DAEs. A lot of the times it might have been me misunderstanding the pain points, because that you can, and again, it comes with experience, but now you can pretty much immediately tell if you've gotten it wrong. And that's when you know you're doing a bad demo, because you can very easily tell on the other side. And I mean that has happened to me, and it still happens. I mean, it's probably going to happen for me as long as I stay in pre-sale. If no matter how good a job you think you do, there's going to be moments where you're going to show them something, and the audience just doesn't care, and it's not the right thing for them. Maybe it's because it's the wrong product. It just could be. I mean, part of what we should do as pre-sales as well is qualify out. So sometimes you're doing a demo to someone that's what you're selling them a fork, and what they need is a knife. And that's never going to resonate. And it's your own fault as well that you didn't qualify that properly in the beginning. But yeah, all of my poor demos, like I'll put them in that bucket.
Or you get into a situation where, okay, the potential champion invited other colleagues, but this person doesn't have specifically the more authority or power, and is kind of trying to convince the other colleagues that the product will be valuable, but those individuals clearly don't care. That happens.
You're actually really right there. Actually,
that's like a lot of the politics that is difficult to be aware.
Is there a plan B there then?
Oh God, that's a good question.
Scratch what I said before. Actually, some of those would be audience misalignment as well. Yeah. Like you said.
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of demos where half of the call is very technical, half of the call is not technical at all. Oh. And so, which means that whatever you show, you're going to miss the note on one person, on one group of the audience. My focus in those scenarios, my plan B is always to focus more on the non-technical people. Because if I focus on the technical people and they'll start asking random things, I don't know, we'll be talking about use cases and scenarios, and they'll be like, oh, but does he do SAML? And then the non-technical people are like, I don't even know what this is. I don't care. Whilst it's easier to maintain the technical people engaged when you're talking about sort of more functionality elements than the other way around. If you start talking about sort of whatever kind of IT administration aspects, all the business people are just going to log out, and then you won't see them again.
So I understand, as a plan B, if you end up being in a call that you realize the audience is not as technical, plan B is like water down the technicality of your demo and be more just adapting your language in this case. Yeah. So what was a plan B? Can we have?
Well, especially when things don't go as expected technically, is to have a video on the side.
You have a video.
But it is. Well, wait, let me just tell you. If you can or could have a plan B of at least a GIF or a slide where you can show, look, this is what I was going to show you. Of course, for a large conference, that makes more sense, right? For a small meeting, I will always say, just try to have.
I was going to say,
something on the back.
You cannot really prepare always those kind of extensive plan B for all your presentation.
I'm going to open a different kind of worms. And I would like to get both of your opinions. Of course, there are vanilla or canned demos, but sometimes I would say 50% of the time, I like to make it specific for the industry or the use case. And sometimes there is no pre-canned demo, so I come up and do it myself.
On the fly?
Not on the fly, at least I answer.
You need to be an expert in every single industry in the world.
To at least, if I have a week or, and do the discovery, try to maybe massage the data to make, but at that point, we are in a very different territory, right? Because it's not
not been used, it's not been reviewed correctly, practiced.
And there is I would say controversy, or at least a debate whether you should go with industry-specific demos. I would say it really depends on the audience, but I don't know what is your experience, guys, on that, because I have my own views.
That could be a topic for a podcast episode just in itself.
Yeah.
And every demo I do is customized. I don't do generic demos. That's the point.
Yeah.
But even though it is customized, the skeleton of the demo might be generic. And I just change the face of it for whatever industry or use case I'm talking about.
Same.
Which is super easy these days. It didn't used to be very easy. Now I can actually become an expert. I'm doing air quotation marks right now in an industry in a very short amount of time. AI really helps me do that. So I can facelift my demo, while the skeleton, which is the important part, is more generic. Still, it will be customized to the pain points, but I know more or less the flows of stories that work, and I just play with the modules of that story.
Yeah.
Now, is that an industry-specific demo? In a way it is, but it's a facelift. Yeah. Because, again, this works really well because the kind of technologies, both of my jobs in pre-sales are technologies that are very industry non-specific, so it makes it easy to do that. But the insides of the demo are really only industry-specific if there are elements that are unique to the industry. And in the technology I currently work on, that's not really the case. Like the skeleton is going to be quite similar for all of them. So I can facelift it to the industry. I can move the skeleton. I've abstracted a lot of the use cases into categories of use cases, independent of the industry or the department, because it can be HR in oil, or you can be marketing in software. So you get it, there's like 2 layers of verticalization here. But then what is the actual abstraction of the use case?
Yeah.
And then after you have that abstraction, you have the skeleton, you know which story flows work, and you facelift it and do it as customizable the demo as possible. But I wouldn't necessarily call it a verticalized demo, because it's only the face that's verticalized.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah, to your question, Christian, so like going back, I realized that I end up creating more custom demos. And again, like it's not perfect, but it resonates more easily to them. If the audience is not a technical audience, and if the audience is more business user, where it's way easier to make them resonate in terms of story if the data sets match somehow part of their expectations.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. But if it's a technical audience, this is not that necessary actually, from what I've seen.
Agree.
That will be the kind of like the situation I'm facing.
Yeah, because I mean, this is like a big topic, right? But I never seen making, let's say, a generic demo when the audience is technical to be a deal breaker, for example, right? Like, exactly. And sometimes we tend to make a big deal out of, oh no, you need to speak the customer's language, right? You need to speak the client's language. And I do understand that there are some industries, some use cases that you have to. I'm not dismissing that, of course. I agree with both of you. Like, I think you can customize, you can talk about something, especially we go back to discovery. So everything goes back to discovery. Like to understand who is coming, at least.
But that's a great point, because what is more important? And we talked a little bit before about going into a demo where you only have the AE's discovery. And you do a little bit of discovery at the beginning. And you realize that actually the pain point they identified is not the real pain point. Then what's more important? That you show them a demo. You realize that the industry is A and the pain point is B, when you had been told that the industry is A and the pain point is A. So what's important now? For you to show them the demo that you had for the wrong pain point but the right industry, or you might have another demo that you can lift off that's for the right pain point but the wrong industry.
That's a pain point is the most important.
The pain point is the most important one.
Of course.
And in that point, it's always more important to go in that sense, abstract to the pain point. And there's also the language that you use, because I do think that, and again, it goes very much to the level of experience. When I was starting my career, I felt very uncomfortable with just talking in the demo. I would always have to be showing something. But that's not true. Talking is the most important thing. So if you can explain, and I always start my demos by saying, even if it's uber customized to the industry, I'm like, oh, this is probably all wrong. I'm not an expert in your industry, but let's approximate as much as we can. Disarm them a little bit, because, I mean, you're not going to get exactly how their industry works, but no matter how much you try. And then just settle the expectations like that. Approximate the language a little bit, but the language of the objects that you're talking about is a lot more important than the language of the actual data that you use.
Yeah.
Now I've got another question. I'm pretty sure you end up in some calls where they start as demos and they end up being like, let's build on the top of it with your clients kind of guiding you with all the needs. So basically like ending up like either you changing the demo, going off track and building on the go, solving the pain point or the issue on the go. Do you face that? Do you feel it's really bound to what kind of product you're setting?
Sometimes I think a good demo is the one that didn't happen. And what I mentioned, what I mean with that is that sometimes it's better not to show and prepare rather than being like improvising on the fly and try to find a solution for something that is not really going to affect the deal. But that's kind of the way that I think about it, right?
No, I fully agree. I think, yes, there are moments that can be ideal when you have very few people in the call and it can turn sort of a little bit workshopy.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
it is, as you said, you need to be really confident in what you're doing so that you can control the call, or else the call can really get out of your hand, and then you actually don't show the things you had planned to show.
Yeah.
You don't touch the key pain points, and you actually don't close the story, because I'm very clear that my demos always need to close because I need to wrap up what I've done.
What do you mean by closing, actually?
That I finish the story. That there's a logical end to the story. I hate when demos are left halfway because I was forced to go in another direction. Depending on what the question is. Like sometimes I've had customers halfway through a very functional demo ask me, oh, does this integrate with platform X, B, or C? And then I have two options, or three options. First, I interrupt what I'm doing and go on the tangent and try to demonstrate how it can connect to that or integrate to that platform. Option C, I pause and say, hey, that's a great question. But actually, I think it would make more sense if I talk about it a little bit later on the demo because it would make more logical flow. Or I just approach it right then and say, and just vocally explain, oh yeah, it can connect, blah, blah, blah. I find the second option sometimes is depending on where you are in the flow, the demo is the best. So that there's always, if you're familiar with any platform, there's always going to be logical points where you can talk about the questions. And it's better to wait till you get to those logical points than to derail it. Sometimes really hard when you have AEs that interrupt your demo to say, oh, show them this or show them that. Which is, it completely disrupts the flow of the demo. It means that there is always a reason. And if there's any AEs listening, there's always a reason why an SC does an order of the demo. There's logical points that are going to have the most emotional impact or that will flow easily from one place to the other. And also the worst thing that can happen is that one of the members of the audience gets sidetracked asking very specific questions and you derail your demo because of it. And then the core of what you had qualified that you need to show, you can't show. And then people are going to ask you after, or they're going to ask you after, or they're just going to assume that you didn't show. Oh, that means you can't do it. And then you're busy talking about this random question that some person in the audience had, and you don't actually showcase the meat of the demo.
When I was learning how to do demos for softwares, in the first few months, I started to work. I remember one of the managers saying, like, only if the clients require to see more details or have more information, go for it. But sometimes the client just want to check orally and will just take it for granted what you're saying is the true, and you don't need to demo it specifically. Yeah,
not everything needs to be demoed. You're absolutely right on that. A lot of us get this feedback when we're first getting started because it's very uncomfortable to just talk about things. All of us, we have our hand in our mouth and someone asks, oh, does it do this? And you're like, yes.
Let me show you.
Because we feel very comfortable because they're looking at something. Actually taking your hand off the mouse and saying, oh, yeah, it does. Or maybe sometimes it might not, and you just want to qualify better why they actually need it, and being able to take your hand off the mouse and say, oh, that's interesting. I've never been asked that. Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean? Rather than it's very easy to just go into that comfort of let's show everything. And actually it's nothing related to what they actually need.
There is this book called Great Demos. You like it?
That's still my
It's a fantastic book, yes.
I remember doing a demo training for partners a few years ago.
Yes.
And one of the key things I told them is the whole start at the end.
That's what's good to ask. Yes. Yeah. I mean, is this your... Yes. Do you follow that?
Yes. Start at the end.
Can you explain what that is for everyone?
So, and I go back now, I define it a different way. I don't say start at the end. I say a demo is the radical opposite of a training.
Yes, you say that.
Because you're not teaching people how to use it. Therefore, the less you show of how to build, the better.
Yeah.
So you always start with something that's fully built. You're not showing the pieces, and you're not explaining the pieces. You're just showing this is how it could look like. So the first thing that the user sees when you do a demo should be the future. it's the problem solved.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything. You don't need to work. You don't need to configure anything. You don't need to, in my scenario, the demos that I do, you don't need to create the workflow. You don't need to make the automations. Everything's done. You're just clicking on things and things are magically happening in the back end. That's the whole start at the end. And then, again, it will depend on the software because right now I actually build very little in my demos. Everything is fully built because the idea of the great demo is that you start from something fully built and then you showcase the steps to how to build it. Actually, my demos, I don't showcase any steps to build right now. I just go through the flow of something that's already fully built. But the key point is the start at the end or start at the most pressing pain point that they have and show that pain point being solved. And that is like and it is interesting how a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people are familiar with trainings and they just kind of pick up the same logic from a training into a demo. I remember doing a demo training a few years ago where I was talking about to start at the end. And this was a demo for Tableau. And a lot of people are coming to me like, oh, this is really interesting because I would start by explaining the data, then I would load the data, then I would start to build some visualizations, and then eventually 20 minutes after the beginning, we have a dashboard. And that's exactly what I would be like. So the user took 20 minutes to see their first livable solution. So by 20 minutes, they're already, most people don't care about building the stuff. They want to see the end result. They want to see something working. And that's the key point to a demo. Just show them the solution of what they need.
I think, of course, that depends on the solution. I don't think everything is as flashy, but I agree that the one that you mentioned, start from the pain point.
Start at the end or the pain point, it's super important.
So that's why when I moved out of Tableau and I was kind of thinking, how does this adapt to a new technology? I did realize it's not that you always start at the end in sort of the most purest sense of this is the end of the journey. It is the pain point thing. It is understanding the key criticality. I always now, particularly for the technology that I now represent, I always divide my customers into 3 buckets.
Okay.
And those 3 buckets will significantly impact what's the end for them. And then after those 3 buckets, then I go into the pain point. But all of the demos of Asana, which is a technology I currently work on, they will be based on these 3 buckets. That's the framework of the end, and then the pain point is after I identify them into those 3 buckets.
It's like those books where...
choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. Those books where like you page. Where do you want to do next?
That's the future, is AI doing the demo for us. Be like, is this a pain point that interests you? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no.
I was going to ask him, do you think AI will replace us?
No.
I think AI will replace AEs, but not SEs.
Oh,
I'm joking.
There is a place to facilitate what we can call, I think, the top of the funnel.
Yes.
Like marketing part, where AI can help you to get this kind of personalized demos.
Yeah.
The good thing for SCs, we can end up in this case in conversations where we got a lot of context and information from the AI because of the interaction it had with the potential customer buyer. And we can go really to the specific pain points that were not uncovered. I would feel like that.
Yeah. Let me just take even a step back before AI. I think there is this concept of automate your demos and make it a video. And that can work for specific solutions.
Yeah.
But because I don't know if it was Mark the other day that we were looking at this AI that now creates an avatar for you. I don't remember. I was actually I was watching this with Alex Eskenazi. He sent me like this website where you can create an avatar.
Okay.
Like literally a person and give them the speech.
Oh yeah, I remember that, and we embedded that into a dashboard.
Yeah, embedded into a dashboard. He made
it was so funny to do it. I loved it.
It's really, everything that we have been discussing, it has this human element, right? So there has to be a connection, otherwise you just disconnect. It's like people nowadays have a very short attention span. And if you put something like automated or that is a bit artificial, maybe it's our generation. I don't know.
But it's difficult to get the attention.
Get the attention from something that is being just recorded or not. It's like, I don't know. That's why I think it will replace.
That's very true.
The way I see it is that the moment AI can replace SCs, then it's the moment AI can replace the majority of the roles that currently exist. Because our role is both technical, in which I would say this, I use AI now every day to help me prepare, whether it's understanding accounts or whether it's becoming an industry expert in a couple of hours, whether it's generating data for a demo. It's really good at that. But the human element, my old boss, even before I started in pre-sales, used to say, people do deals, not computers. And I do. It was like his mantra. He would say that every week. And I would always say that, I mean, the demo at the end of the day is, it might look like it's a logical thing, but it is an emotional thing. You want to help the people on the other side feel an emotional connection to the platform that you're selling by having their problem solved, but also a connection to you.
Exactly.
That's why you laugh. That's why we've all been in demos, but that could have been delivered by a robot. You feel no connection to the person there. You feel like you're just like being fed a bunch
I just received this email. Who is it? Like you're checked out, basically.
But what we do is a lot more like good pre-sales know the value of human interaction. But so that's the point. Like the moment we can be replaced, it means a lot of things can be replaced.
Yeah, that's true.
But I will say this: AI is amazing in like making my job faster. And there's a lot of aspects of the SC role away from demos that could do with a lot of AI to sort of help us. Like things like filling out RFPs. There's a lot of solutions out there right now that use. Well, I use AI very broadly here, like most companies do. That accelerate the process, like filling out RFPs. Yeah. Like even like these automated demos can be quite interesting for top of the funnel things, but not for actual enterprise successful sales cycles.
Yeah, amazing. So if you go into the tell, show, tell, we will wrap up this. So we started with the 3Ds, discovery. Yeah. Discovery. We also touched on start from the end or from the pain point. Have a plan B.
Mm-hmm. A demo is not a training. Don't try to teach them how to get the job done. Just let them imagine that the job is already done.
Yeah.
They can pay for services to implement it after.
I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? Remember that the demo has a purpose.
Yeah.
And with that, well, first of all, thank you, Ivan, for coming again.
Thank you guys for inviting me. This has been, as always, really, really fun.
Thank you very much, everyone. That was a fantastic episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode. This podcast represents our views and not the ones of our employers.
Our mission at the Data Coffee Break podcast is to inform you and help you grow in this always changing data field.
Follow us and get into the conversation with the community on our LinkedIn page and Instagram.
See you next Tuesday, and until then, keep your data caffeinated.